So today we are going to see xerophytic plants in botany. As you already know, the plant has several characteristics like the hydrophytes, xerophytes, mesophytes. So what we have to see today, the xerophytes plant. So basically, the xerophytes plant are those plants which live inside the desert condition, or you can say the water deficit condition, where water quantity is very less. At that place, if the plant is living in that conditions, so we can call those plant the xerophytes plant. So if we go through with the introduction part of the xerophytes, so that's simple. That the plant which grow in the dry habits or xeric conditions. So that's why we call them the xerophytes. So dry habits or xeric condition. So xeric condition is a condition where water quantity is very less. So it can be any situation when the water quantity is very less or water availability to the plant is less. So in that case, the habitat will be become dry. So that dry habitat or in that condition, if this plant is growing, then they will be known as the xerophyte plants. So these places where available water is not present in an adequate quantity are termed as a xeric habitat. So if the water is not present in that much quantity as it is needed, so we can easily call that particular habitat as a xeric habitat. You can see the diagram. These kind of the plant you also see around because some of the part of the Rajasthan is also come under the xeric conditions. So that's why we can also find these kind of plants around us. They are the very true kind of xerophytes. You can also see their leaves become spine and the stem become fleshy. So this fleshy stem condition and the leaves when they are going to convert into the thorns, they will be known as a xerophytic plants. So there are some very key points about the xeric habitat, or you can say what kind of environment in which xerophyte plant grow. So the very first habitat that is physically dry means water retaining capacity of the soil is very low and the climate is dry. So the very first habitat that is called physically dry, in that condition what happened? The capacity of soil. Basically soil have capacity to hold the water. But if soil don't have capacity like the sand, if we are talking about the type of soil, the sand is a type of soil which cannot hold the water. The desert soil is almost sandy. The sandy soil cannot hold the water, so that's why their water retaining capacity is very low. Hence, their climate will become dry because the temperature is in the summers temperature goes around 40 to 50 degrees Celsius. So that's why we can, if we talk about their example, then the physically dry habits like desert, rock surfaces, yeah, sometimes wastelands. So these are the physically dry one. Next are the habitat that are physiologically dry. Means physiologically dry water will be present at that situation in excess amount, but it cannot be absorbed by the plant easily. So such habitat may be either too salty or too acidic, too hot or too cold. Means if you talk about a glacier, okay, there are so many water, but that is in the you can say in the structure of ice. So icy water cannot be utilized by the plant. Also, sea have a lot of water, but sometimes the sea water cannot utilize for the growing of normal plant. Only the aquatic kind of plant can grow inside the sea water. So if the too much salt or too much acidity or too much hot water is present, or they cannot be very useful for the growing of the plant. At that condition, we call the habitat physiologically dry. Means water is there, but plant cannot use them. So if any situation which do not let plant to use that particular water, that will be called as a habitat which is physiologically dry. Third year, habitat dry physically as well as physiologically. Both the thing happen. Water is present, but water not that present. at this kind of situation will be known as slopes of the mountain. Slope of the mountain where water come, but they cannot hold the water. Okay, there is no special kind of feature in that mountain to hold the water. There is so much rain which will be having in the mountain area, but the mountain cannot absorb that water or cannot store that water. That's why we call them they are dry physically and as well as physiologically. Next is here xerophyte are characteristic plant of desert, semi-desert region. So basically they are characteristic plant if we talk about at what place they present abundantly means majorly where they present. So most of the time they are present in a desert area, semi-desert region, or some can even grow in a mesophyte condition. So mesophyte condition means the plant which need normal kind of water, not too much water, not very less water. The normal condition of the plant is called the mesophytic conditions. Okay, so these xerophyte plants, or you can say the xeric plant, they can also grow inside the mesophytic conditions. Where available water is in sufficient quantity, these plants can withstand extreme dry condition, low humidity, high temperature. So not only the water condition, but they can also tolerate the very high temperature and low humidity. So this low humidity and high temperature that can be also retained by the xerophytic plants. So now when they are going under unfavorable conditions, so these plants needed to be develop some special characteristic. So they cannot be live without the simple characteristic of plant in a xeric condition. So if they wanted to be live in an extreme harsh condition, or you can say the extreme unfavorable condition, so they do need to changes inside their plant body. So now we will see that what kind of changes they are going to make for their survival. So the very first one here, to absorb as much water as they can get from the surrounding. So this is a very fundamental process a xerophytic plant have to be followed, that they needed to be surround or absorb any trace of the water which is present near them. Even they don't want water at particular stage, or they have already water whatever they need, but still they store them. That is a major feature of the succulent plant. Okay, the succulent, what they you see the cactus plant, or sometimes you see the this aloe vera plant. They do not need that kind of water for their survival, but they are the xeric plant. So this is their need to store as much water as they can inside their body, to retain water in their organ for very long time. So that's why they can easily store. Retention means storage. So they can store water in the organ for very long time to reduce the transpiration rate to minimum. Third thing, what they do, they basically reduce their transpiration rate. So, because of having transpiration, a thing of water can be evaporate. So, for the saving of water, this is a very fundamental type of thing the plant can do, that they can reduce their rate of transpiration. So, for the reduction in the transpiration rate, what they can do, they modify their leaf, modify their stem. So, these things can be done for the reduction in the transpiration rate. Next here, to check high consumption of water. Also, they have a checkpoints at what water is consuming more. So basically, they eliminate that part which using the most of the water. Like if we talk about the whole plant scenario, so the leaves are the one who basically you can say utilize more of the water, because they do transpiration, they do photosynthesis, or their leaves, they are having two epidermis, and they are having number of major stomata. So that's why leaves are the major high consumption of water unit inside the plant body. So they what they do whenever the dry condition happen inside the plant body, the very first they are going to eliminate this leaves. They convert their leaves inside the thorns. Sometimes they fold their leaves as a bulliform cell present in the leaf of desert area. So these bulliform cell help them to fold the leaves. So basically these are the things which they do for their survival. Now, if we see their classification or type of the xerophytic plant, so the very first here, that is a dwarf escaping plants. So dwarf escaping means you can escape the dwarf. How they will escape the dwarf? We will see it here. The very first, they are short-lived. Okay, they do not live very long. They are not perennial. They can be biennial or they can be monthly beard plant, which grow just for 2 or 3 months or 6 months. During critical dry periods, they survive in the form of seed and fruit, which have hard and resistant seed coat and pericarp. So basically, when the conditions are very dry, like the month of April to July, the conditions are very harsh or they cannot be present in a plant form. So at that time, what they do, they present in a seed form. Okay, they will be present as a seed form because the cover of the seed is very hard. Okay, the covering of the seed or fruit, they are very resistant, or you can say this resistanceness or hardness of seed make them to live longer. So that's why at the very extreme dry condition, they should be live in a seed condition. Now, what happened when they get a favorable condition, like they are getting water, monsoon come, or if they get a little water in a month of July or August, they will start germinating. So the seed germinate into new small size plant which complete their life cycle within a few weeks time, like 4 week, 5 week, they will complete their whole cycle. And again they become the seed before the dry condition approach. So basically they are skipping drought. Okay, means they do not want to face the drought condition. So you can say they are not true kind of xerophyte because they are not facing the extreme condition like other plant. What they just do, they just live their short living life cycle in just a few weeks or month when the conditions are favorable. Means whenever they are getting water, they just germinate or complete their life cycle, and again they will convert it into the seed. So that's why we are calling them the dwarf escaping plants. So in this way, plant remain unaffected by extreme condition, and these are called ephemerals. Okay, another name of this plant is ephemeral or dwarf evaders or dwarf escapers. So they are escaping dwarf. So that's why we name them the dwarf escaper or dwarf evaders. But the very good botanical term for them is ephemerals. Okay, so these plants are common in the semi-arid zone where rainy season is of short duration. So where these plants are very common at those situation where the monsoon come or the rainy season come for like 1 or 2 months. So at that 1 or 2 month time, they just grow and complete their life cycle, and again they will become the seed form in the seed formation. You can see the example of ephemeral type of plant like papilionate, some inconspicuous compositae that are artemisides, and some member of the family of Zygophyllaceae or Borgineaceae. These are some grasses also which show these kind of growth pattern. So basically, what you have to remember in the ephemeral that they just grow for the time when the rain come, or you can say when the water available. They do not live when the drought come or water do not present. So at that time they do not live. They just converted itself into the seed plants. The second plant is drought enduring plant. Means these are the small size plants which have capacity to endure or tolerate drought. So they are just opposite to the dwarf ephemeral plant or ephemeral plant. They have to live throughout the water deficit condition. So if there is no water, still these plants can live. So that are the true kind of xerophytes which basically endure or tolerate drought. Third is drought resistance plants. So these are also the plant which can live in extreme drought conditions. Like these plant develop certain adaptive features in them through which they can resist extreme drought. Like the xerophytes grow on a variety of habitat. Some grow on rocky soil. So drought resistance plant, so they needed to do some anatomical, physiological or morphological changes to live inside the plant in this kind of extreme drought condition. So that's why they are kind of like, you can say they are a true kind of the xerophyte which live through this waterless condition, and due to having this kind of interpretation or their growing pattern in a different reasons, we give them some name. Like if a plant is can grow on the rocky soil, okay, we will be call them the lithophyte. The plant which grow on the rock soil, that are called the lithophyte. If you remember, I told you about the alga. With the alga which live on the rocks, we call them the lithophytes. So the same, the if the plant is going to live on a rocky soil, they are called the lithophytes. Some in desert, some on sand and gravels. So basically, which live on the sand or gravel, they are called the plasmophytes. They are called plasmophytes, which lived on the sand or gravels. Some may grow on the wasteland. Some plant are grow on a wasteland. They are called the eremophytes. Okay, the wasteland plant which grow on the wasteland, or you can say some non-fertile zone, that are the called as a ermophyte. Some plants of xeric habitat which have water storing fishy organ, while some do not develop such structure. Some plants they also have this tendency to absorb water by making their organ fleshy. Fleshy organ like the cactus or this aloe vera plant, they are having this fleshy appearance on them, so they can store water inside their body. You can say the fleshy type of the leaves. Okay, these are the leaves which become fleshy, so they can store water inside them. So if they are like watery leaves, if we touch them, they are some having a cushionary structure inside them. So this is all the type. Now we have to see how they do these anatomical feature or morphological or physiological features to grow in these ZA condition. So basically now we have to see their you can say their adaptation quality, how they can adapt themselves for living in this kind of harsh situation. The very first thing, if we see about the roots, like the xerophytes root is a well developed root system. So if we compare them to the hydrophyte, okay, hydrophytes plant which live inside the water. So they do not have any kind of root system because they live inside the water. So the roots are needed at that place where water conditions are low. So that's why the zero fives they are having a very well developed root system and which may be profusely branched. So they are having extremely large connection of the branches so they can go everywhere to collect the water. So it is extensive and more elaborated than the shoot system. So shoot system is small in the case of xerophyte or root system is long. Many desert plants develop superficial root system where the supply of water is restricted to surface layer of the earth. So sometime what happen? These plant or desert plant they have a superficial root system. Roots are present inside the soil, okay, deep in the soil. But what happen in a superficial root system? They are present on the surface, okay, present just they are increasing in the lateral areas, they are not going deeper in the soil. So at that time when this kind of development take place, this is called the superficial root system. Why they are doing this? Because the plant need water to grow and that water is just present on the surface area, not in the deep inside the soil, but the water is present on only the surface area. And because of that surface area, they do not need to go deeper in the soil, they just have to be present on the surface of earth. So that's why they are having this superficial root system. The roots of perennial xerophyte grow very deep in the earth and reaches the layer where water is available in plenty. Now, if we talk about the second type of xerophytes, the perennial xerophytes, or you can say the xerophyte which lives so longer, like hundreds of years. So these xerophyte, their root can go very deep inside the soil. Root hair are densely developed near the growing tip of rootlet. So there are a lot of root hair which are present because the root hair help to absorb water. So that's why there are mostly what is the main function of root hair is to absorb water and mineral from the soil. So that's why they are having a lot kind of root hair inside them. These enable the root to absorb sufficient quantity of water. So if they are present there, so as much water can be absorbed by the root. Second, now we will see the stem, how the stem look alike. So their xerophytic become very hard and woody. So the stem, if we talk about the stem of the hydrophyte, they are very green and soft because the water is present, so that make it soft. But here water is not present, so that's why their stem become very hard and very woody. They covered with thick coating of wax, silica as an ecosystem. So also their epidermis will be covered by the thick layer, not thin layer, thick layer of wax and silica. So this covering basically, the silica covering or wax covering, why it is present here? They reduce the rate of evaporation. Okay, the water which can be evaporated from the plant, that can be reduced or way more reduced by the presence of waxes and silica. Ecosystem is very good example. Whole plant of ecosystem that is covered by the silica and waxes. Some may be covered with dense hair. Some stem they can be covered with the dense hair-like structure, like is a calotropis. So Calotropis is a plant where the whole stem structure will be covered by the dense hair formation. In some xerophytes, stem may be modified into thorns. So in some xerophyte, their stem, the whole stem will be converted into the throne-like structure. But these plants have to be very small to be converted into the throne-like structure. So here are some example of these kind of xerophyte, that is Danita and Ulex. Stem, you can see here, these are the thorns. The whole stem is converted into the thorns. Yes. This is not the leaves. Okay, these are the leaves fine, but this is the middle one. These are the stem thorns. A stem in some extreme xerophyte are modified into the leaf-like flattened, green and fleshy structure which are termed as the phyllocytes. Like your cactus, if the whole stem, that thing you see inside a cactus which look like green, okay, that green part is a stem part, and the whole stem is basically converted into the leaf-like flattened structure, or that is a fleshy structure. So the plant like cactus, inside the, you can say inside the xerophyte, we call them the phylloclades. Okay, the phylloclades are the plant which can store water inside their stem. So if any plant which is converted into this green like leaf like structure and storing plant, you can call them the phylloclades. Next, their leaves. So in the some xerophiles, the leaf, if present, they are greatly cadaceous. So cadaceous means very reduced. Very small leaf will be present, or they will be fall early. Means leaf do not have very major role to play inside a xerophyte plant, because leaf are so dangerous for the xerophyte. Because what is the major function of leaf? They do the transpiration because of having the stomata on them. So most of the stomata are present on the leaf area. So that's why their rate of transpiration is very high. So that's why this leaf thing is very, you can say, harmful in the xerophytic condition. So that's why they are greatly cadaceous. Means maybe they are not present inside a plant. They be mere very small, or sometimes what happens, they convert it into the throne like structure, spines, or sometimes they fall very early. So that's why the leaves, they are not a very useful feature inside the xerophytic plant. Or in the same opposite, they are very useful and very big inside the hydrophyte plant. So most of the character of the hydrophytes and xerophytes, they are opposite to each other. You can see some phalloclates. Their whole stem that is converted into the fleshy organ. This is B, that are the clades of Ruscaza, and third is the calota of asparagus. So in this, you can see they are becoming so fleshy like a structure in them. These are the scaly leaf. Okay, here you can see these are all the leaves. They do not look like a leaf. Normally, do not look like this. Okay, but most of the xerophytic plant, they're having this kind of leaf formation inside them. So basically, this kind of leaf area or leaf present, they basically reduce for the transpiration rate. What happen in the leaf succulents? So succulents are the plant which are the remarkable swelling of the water. So the leaves swell remarkably and become very fleshy owing to the storage of excess amount of water and latex in them. So what happened in the succulent plant leaf? Here leaf will be become fleshy. Phylocoids, they are having the stem fleshy. But in the leaf succulent, there are the leaf which are going to store the water inside them. So plant with succulent leaf generally develop very reduced stem. Now what happened? If the leaf becomes succulent, or they are going to store the water in them, so at that time their stem, they will be very reduced. Stem do not have a very great tendency to develop when the leaf is succulent. So the example of succulent leaf are here, like Aloe spinosa or Hicor, that is a normal name, Calenia flixoda, or several families of the Chenopodiaceae. So these are some example of the leaf succulent in which leaf is become the fleshy organ and store the water. You can see the diagram. The leaves, these are the leaves. Okay, Opuntia. This is Opuntia plants. So they are basically going to store themselves. Their leaves, they are the succulent leaf. So the leaf become fleshy and so much thick. So they can easily store water inside them. In this is a phalloclade, so their stem is wholly this in this open shell. This is the phalloclade. So phalloclade in this the stem got fleshy and absorb the water, and this is a basically that is the sea alloy. In this the leaves are become fleshy and store the water. Generally, the leaves of xerophytic species possess reduced leaf plate, pinna, and have very dense network of veins. So, sometimes they are become modified, and sometimes they are become the flattened structure. So, these modified petiole is termed as a phyllodes. Now, there is some another structure will take place inside them that is called the phyllodes. So phyllodes is a you can see that is a modified petiole. Petiole is the structure which attach leaf to the stem. So attachment of leaf to the stem is a petioletic structure which become fleshy inside these kind of xerophyte. So the when the petiole become fleshy, we can call them the phyllodes. Okay, so they why the phyllodes present, they also reduce the great loss of water or store excess amount of water, and sometimes they can perform the photosynthesis. The whole major point of the xerophyte plant or whatever they are doing inside the xerophyte plant, their major motive is to reduce the water loss or store the water, and third is have to do the great work for the photosynthesis. You can see this these are their petiole. Okay, this petiole there become fleshy here. This is normal happen, normally petiole look like this. Okay, a leaf and the stem, they attach the leaf to the stem, but here you can see the petiole become very swollen, they become very thick, and this is the thick structure of their petiole, they that is known as a phyllodes. Okay, that kind of swollen structure will be known as phyllodes structure. Now this was all about the morphological adaptations. Now we will see some anatomical modification, like what kind of changes can inside the internal structure of the plant. So the very first here, anatomical precursion start with the heavy cutinization, lignification of waxes and deposition of epidermis. So this is the very first thing that happen inside the anatomical modification of xerophilites. First is they needed to be present a very heavy cuticle, lignification. So the lignification waxes present. So what they are doing, they are stopping the water loss from the inside to plant to the outside. That's what they are present on the epidermis. Now we'll see how their epidermis will look like. So their epidermis cells are compact. Okay, there are no intercellular space present in between cell, because if there will be an intercellular space, so what happen? Via with that intercellular space, water can get evaporated. So that's why they do not have any kind of intercellular space. Multiple epidermis is not uncommon. So sometimes multiple epidermis present, or epidermis can be 2 to 3 layer. Because the more is epidermal layer, so more we can store the water. Second thing here, the hairs. So hairs also epidermal in origin, means they develop from the epidermis. Hairs develop from epidermis. So they can be simple, compound, uni or multicellular. So this is depend on what species these hairs are present. So they can be the simple hair, compound hair, unicellular hair or multicellular hair. So these compound here, are branched at the nodes. So they here protect the stomata and prevent excessive water loss. So what is the function of hair? They present on the stomata. Okay, there is a stomatal opening and they will be present on the stomata. So when hair will be present on the stomatal opening, so there will be no transpiration happens. So in that case, these hair they can prevent extensive or excessive water loss. You can see a diagram of the xerophytic plant. This is the very first outermost thick cuticle layer. Okay, then we are having this three-layered epidermis. This normally epidermis is just single layer. Okay, but in this case you can see the epidermis is multiple layered. This is I think this okay. That is a TS of Neeram leaf. Okay, leaf का diagram here. So after this, they are having this palisade tissue, then rosette crystals, spongy tissues, veins, stomata in cavity. Because stomata कितना यहाँ पे कितना पीछे stomata है. Okay, what happened in the most of the time stomata present on the surface, but their stomata present in back condition. So back condition stomata present, that's why they do not let water to get out. So that's why this stomata are present in so deep positions. Now, if we talk about their stomata, so in their number of the stomata per unit area of leaf is greater than in mesophyte. There are so many stomatas you can see here, they are present here, but they are generally of sunken type. Number of stomata are high, but type of stomata is sunken type. Sunken type of stomata is stomata whose pore is very small. Okay, very small type of pore is present in some stomata that will be known as a sunken stomata. So there are many stomata, but all are having the sunken type of stomata, and also these stomata are present deep inside the cortex. So that's why they do not let water to evaporate or transpiration taking very less. You see this is a outer chamber and they present inside the inner chamber here. So this type of stomata is known as a magnified sunken stomatas. Now the hypodermis. So hypodermis also present just after the epidermis. There are the hypodermis, and their hypodermis can be several layer thick like epidermis, and they you can say sometimes they are made up of the mucilage or tannin capacity means they will be stored by filled by tannin and mucilage. So if the hypodermal cell or they will be filled with this tannin and mucilage. So basically what they are doing, they are reducing the rate of transpiration. Ground tissue in this stem have a very great part of body is formed of sclerenchyma. Ground tissue most of the time normal plant. In normal plant, these ground tissue are formed of the parenchyma cells. But if we are talking about the xerophyte plant, they will be made up of the sclerenchyma cell. So they can help plant to give a excessive mechanical support. So ground tissue is present to give the excessive mechanical support. So if the somewhat happen, you see when we are not giving a plant to water, then they fall off. Okay, they skid to the ground if we are not giving the water to the plant. So at that time, if water is not present around the plant, but we have to be stick it on their feet. So these ground tissue they are going to help us because they are made up of the sclerenchyma cell. They do not need water. The sclerenchyma are the dead cell, but these dead cell they are help these plant to stick on the ground. So that is their major function, that they help plant to be stand on their own feet. These are all the anatomical adaptation. Now this is the last one, physiological adaptation. So physiological adaptation is basically that what kind of function these plants do to live inside the harsh condition. So most of these we already studied, but just take a wide look. Like the very first, there are the rate of transpiration that is very reduced in the condition of the zero fight plant. That is a major issue, that the number of the rate of transpiration if less, then plant can survive in the zero fatigue condition. Second thing here, there are the some special kind of polysaccharide that is called the pantothens. Okay, pantothen and a number of acid by virtue of which they are able to resist drop. So there are a particular special kind of polysaccharide will be formed inside these plants that is called pantothens. So these pantothens help to store the water inside the body. So that's why this pantothen make the modification in the stem, and they made the stem or leaf to absorb the water. So this is the second physiological function that plant do to live inside the drop condition. You can also see in this slide, pantothens have water binding property. So normally, you can say originally these have the capacity to store or bind water inside them. So that's why they can store water in a very large manner. Another experimental fact in physiology of succulent plant is that their stomata open during night hours and remain closed during day. Third thing, their stomata never be open at the daytime. Okay, the stomata open only at the time of night. So there will be no transpiration take place because transpiration happens only at the time of day. So that's why if they will open in the night, there will be no transpiration rate happen. Next here, osmotic potential of the guard cell. Their osmotic potential is very low. So if the osmotic potential will be low, there will be no opening of the guard cell or stomatal pore. So this is also important for the zero fatigue plants, that their osmotic potential should be down. Lastly, here, the compound of cell sap are actively converted into the wall forming compound that are finally incorporated into the cell wall. So, some of their cell sap, or you can say the cytoplasm of these xerophyte, they are having the tendency to convert into the lignification or any type of the thing which can cover the cell wall. So the more the cell wall will be covered, the more the sclerenchyma tissue will be formed. So the sclerenchyma tissue, if they form inside their body, they will going to increase their mechanical activities. Okay, some of the enzyme also here, catalase, peroxidase, in mesophyte, they also help these plants to survive inside the harsh condition. Regulation of transpiration, presence of cuticle, polished surfaces, compact cells, sunken stomata. So these all the things you have to be remember in your mind, that these are the things which be you can say after having these things, the zero fight plant are able to survive in that kind of harsh conditions. Osmotic pressure we already talked about. Okay, so this is all about your zero fatigue plant. These are some questions I will upload you on your LMS. You will get them. Like they're very simple question. Like desert plant have longer root system because why they need longer roots? Which of the following is not a characteristic feature of anatomy of xerophyte? Leaf of desert grass often roll their leaves too. Why they roll off their leaves? The basis of classification of plant into hydrophyte, mesophyte, and xerophyte is why on the basis of we can classify them. So this is all about your xerophyte. But still, if you have some confusion, you can go through these references. They are having some very elaborated and good version of all the xerophytic characteristic. कुछ पूछना है और anything?